fund terrorism through proxy groups around the world, through Hezbollah, through Hamas, and it's just been a terrible disaster.
Yeah,
You
but
might not have
that's
had
more of
something
a
like
leadership
9/11.
issue. Like every it's another one of those things where every country does this kind of thing. And like America right now, you can argue the reason we are losing to China globally, or at least they're about to surpass us, is because they have an authoritarian government. They can control resources and move them around as much as they want. At least we have to have a democracy. I think that's a pretty good bar to be at, or we have a democracy for now at least. I know Trump is probably gonna Trump's not leaving office if he's alive. He's definitely not leaving office. I'm 100% sure about that. But for now we have still a democracy. That might change in 4 to 8 years, but we'll see. Yeah, and it's just the thing where if we are what you're suggesting would just have us ran over by the nearest country. I think Canada would probably take us over if we did that. It sucks that that's like I think like what you're saying is good to strive for. It'd be great to have a world like that. But yeah, I'm just looking at the factors around the globe, the power players, and that model would be so inefficient. It would not even be able to protect freedoms. At that point, we would have no model to protect freedoms. America would never be able to even be self-sufficient. Like I said before, there's a reason these societies have never existed at any scale anywhere. Same thing with communism. Like they get overtaken by bigger countries that do like some type of coercive policies, and yeah.
Yeah, I disagree with a lot of that. Yeah, I don't. I think that the failures in the backsliding of the U.S. has been because we have gotten away from those free market principles for over 100 years now. So we had, the New Deal was a massive intervention by government in people's lives. So was the Great Society, the Federal Reserve with the printing of fiat currency. Um, and I think if we hadn't had all these things, America would be far stronger
But
than
America
it
is
is
more
right now.
prosperous and there's less poverty and it's more free today than it was when those things started. Like the globe right now is more free and more stable than when those things started that you just mentioned.
I would question that. I mean, the 19th century, I think, was largely a period of peace. You didn't have any world wars between the end of the Napoleonic Wars and the start of World War One. That was almost a century, 1815 to 1914. I don't think there were any major world wars as there were in the 20th century when you had the
But there
rise
were
of
wars
dictatorships.
like inside countries. Like we were taking land in America. We were fighting wars over land and civil wars. Like countries were fighting each other at that point. Like the Russia versus like the Ottoman Empire and Great Britain, and France there were wars all throughout. In China, there were wars in 1850s. 1850s everywhere there were wars nonstop. So we did not have free societies or happy societies. People lived until like 30 around then. There was no world war because there was no world order to have a world war. Once we had more of a world order going into the 1900s, then we had world wars. But we just like the 1800s was a very violent time, extremely violent.
Well, that's when there was a skyrocketing in the standard of living. Like if you look at things like life expectancy and standard of living, it's like a hockey stick kind of graph because of all the progress in the 19th century, building on the foundation of freedom that was laid in the late 18th century in the Enlightenment. So now I think we've still progressed some. I mean, since the 19th century, obviously things like the internet didn't exist that long ago, but I think the internet might have existed much sooner, and other technologies. Maybe we would have flying cars by now if we had stayed on that trajectory
No, but
of
that's the thing
enormous
though.
progress.
But the thing you're saying right now is very ahistorical because like back in the 1800s, life expectancy went up probably from what, like maybe 20, 25 to like 30, 35, 40, maybe. In the 1900s, it went from 40 to like 77 by the end. Like we saw much bigger increases under liberalism and the changes that you just said in the 1900s. Like the 1900s saw huge, drastic changes that we did not see anywhere before in human history, like the human inventions, the medical field, pretty much everything. Yeah, by 2000, people were living until 77 and 80. That was completely new. And they were not expecting to make that much of a strive. And you can say that the 1800s led to what we got in the 1900s, but I would say that 1900s was definitely an improvement on what happened in the 1800s, and the 2000s is probably when we began to backslide, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't know all the numbers, like exactly when the life expectancy, what it was, like what age people lived to in the 19th century on average. But I think that the large increase was in the 19th century, and it continued into the 20th century. Maybe not at the same rate, but I couldn't, I couldn't give you the exact numbers. But I am skeptical that there's been more improvement on that front in the 20th century. I would want to verify that for myself by looking up. I don't know if you had a source in mind that you get that from, but that didn't exactly ring true to my ears when I hear that. But I think that the general underlying principle would support my sort of view that the correlation is more between freedom and prosperity rather than coercion and prosperity. Societies where you have the most coercion, like North Korea or Soviet Russia, where you've got a totalitarian state, these are the societies that have famines where millions of people die, where, where there's a lack of progress, their technology is way behind, and it makes sense. Like if you're coercion is anti-mind. This is one of the fundamental principles of Ayn Rand's philosophy. Freedom and force are opposites. Force stops people from being able to think, or at least from being able to act on their thinking. If you can't act on your own judgments, if you're not free to act on your mind's own judgment, then you're not going to make progress. Galileo is a famous example. Right? He was confronted by the Catholic Church. He has this heliocentric view of the universe, but the Catholic Church has the geocentric view, and they put him into house arrest. Well, what's going to happen to science, the progress that comes from scientific discovery, if you treat figures like Galileo the way the Catholic Church did,
Well, science
where you
progressed
could
a
be
lot quicker
subject
once the
to
government
house arrest or
facilitated
being
it.
burned at the stake?
Once the government got involved in science, it started progressing a lot quicker. And I think I can answer your question about coercion and like the Soviet Union being not free. There is no free society without coercion either, because if there's no coercion in that society, it cannot survive. It literally cannot survive. There needs to be some level of buy-in where everyone's forced to buy into a certain system. If you're not forced to be in the system, the society deteriorates and falls apart. Like you cannot name one free society anywhere that has zero coercion. That's not a random crypto country that was, built in the middle of a random remote location. But there's a reason there's no country ever that maintained freedoms other than liberal democracies with a balance of coercion and freedom, positive and negative freedoms. It just you probably cannot have freedom without having some coercive forces. I don't think we have any examples of even in the 1800s there was still coercion at a mass scale in mercantilism and all the economic forms we saw back then.
Yeah, I don't think freedom. Actually, freedom is incompatible with coercion. So, to the extent there is coercion, I would say it's not a free society. But I don't think retaliatory force counts as coercion in the sense I'm using. At least it's not relevant. Like I do think you can have a society where you've just got a police and a military and a court system, and those institutions, they might use force, but only in retaliation, like to stop. The police will stop rapists and muggers and burglars and murderers from going around society. They'll get them off the streets, throw them in jail. That would be retaliatory force. And then the military would protect the country from foreign aggressors. So,
But if you
the
have
police would
optional
also protect
buy-in, how
people's
could they do
property rights.
that? Like if other countries have like coercion for their buy-in, and we have optional buy-in, we would get run over like instantly. So we would just be very unprepared for that kind of situation.
Well, there might have to be a transitional state. I don't know
That's
that
what
we could
Karl Marx said
go.
about communism. You're like Karl Marx, but for libertarians or for objectivism. Yeah.
I'm not sure what are you talking. I don't know if you're talking about like his point that there's a progression from feudalism to capitalism to
Yeah,
socialism.
the
That's the
transitionary state,
progression.
it's like your version of his transitionary state from true socialism, from the bourgeois democracy or whatever, or bourgeois, whatever you called it. But yeah, it's very similar in a way because it's like, yeah, I don't know. It just seems,
Well, I do think
yeah.
there's like you can't get to the sort of system I advocate for overnight. That may just be a superficial similarity with Marx. I mean, Marx probably also ate food and drank water. That doesn't mean I have anything
Oh
fundamentally
no, I'm just
important
saying it's the
in
same
common
levels
with
of,
him.
of idealism. It's the same levels of like, it's not really possible. And you're also saying like, you're kind of being able to escape it by saying, well, retaliatory measures are not coercion, or like if a boss hires you and you need that job for, I don't know, healthcare, and that boss gets really big and becomes a monopoly, and now you're forced to work in the meatpacking plants, like in the jungle from the 1900s, early 1900s, late 1800s, and it's like, well, that's also coercion in a sense. If you have any economic system, inherently is going to have coercion. So like we would rather pick the coercion that we have and pick the levels and pick how the government's going to use our resources and the fruits of our labor, rather than have someone else tell us to do it. Because like my main argument is, we need a stable, a strong government by the people, that listens to the people, that has representatives that can lead the government in a way that's conducive for the people they represent. And we need to make sure there's not too much power in the hands of few. So we should have a bigger Congress than we have right now. I don't think 435 seats is nearly enough. Bigger Congress. I hate the Senate. The Senate's a terrible institution, in my opinion. Very outdated. So I just have a bigger representative branch, like a parliament, almost. I would actually prefer a parliamentary system where the House would elect like the prime minister. But yeah, we would have a system like that to protect freedoms. A strong government backed by a system for trade, the economy, military, all the industries, whatever it might be. And we need that system to be beholden to the interests of the people as much as possible. And also, we need that to be in place to hold corporate influences back, so that corporate influences cannot become so powerful that they end up restricting our freedoms, whether it's property or speech. Or like Amazon right now is basically a big surveillance state, but it's not technically the government. Amazon's not the government or Google, but they are a surveillance state. So yeah, we need a good balance of all these different powers, because that's the only way we can have a free society, is filling the power vacuum. Well, that's my whole point. There's a power vacuum. We got to fill the power vacuum with something. I would say that Ayn Rand and objectivism or libertarianism, because some libertarians use Ayn Rand as a framework. It does not fill that power vacuum that will be filled by some sort of dictatorship or military power or some type of monopoly of violence. But yeah, that's pretty much my point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there I could argue with, but I won't try to take it all on. I do think there is a to just mention one point, I do think there is a clear distinction between retaliatory force and initiated force. And I don't think a society has to have any initiation of force. I think it could be just solely retaliatory force in response to initiated force. But the government, I don't think there's any need for the government to initiate force. It could just have the role of protecting people's rights, which I think means protecting people from physical force. One thing I'm kind of curious about is Ayn Rand makes a big deal about altruism versus egoism, which is kind of getting to a more fundamental ethical issue which underlies politics. And she thinks that a lot of the her political view is founded on an ethical view, an ethics of egoism. And the only way to really argue for her sort of political system is via an ethics of egoism. So if you think, for instance, it's good to be sacrificial, self-sacrificing, like a lot of religions will say, it's good to sacrifice yourself for the sake of others, and they hold up someone like Jesus or Mother Teresa as an example of an altruistic, self-sacrificing person. Well, if you think self-sacrifice is good, then maybe you shouldn't oppose a system that violates your rights and that tramples all over you, that treats you like just a cog in the machine, maybe like the Soviet Union. If you don't fit into the state's 5-year plan, then you can just be dispensed with, versus a system based on an egoistic kind of morality where the proper ethical role of the proper for ethics for a person to follow is one that enhances his own life, his own well-being, his own happiness. So like, what is the point of living? Is it to serve something beyond yourself, something larger than yourself, the nation or the state or the society? Or is the purpose of life to benefit yourself, to make the most out of your own life, achieve your own happiness? And I think your answer to that question is going to have big implications for the kind of society, the kind of politics that you support. So I don't know if you want to go down that road at all, but I am kind of curious about, do you think it's bad for people to live for their own sake and pursue their own happiness as their highest ideal? Should that be subordinated to some allegedly higher purpose, such as the so-called common good or the welfare of the race or the state or the nation?
Yeah, so I would always go back to if everyone's working in a very selfish way, and I know egoism can also be altruistic if you deem that to be in your self-interest. I get it's hard to say because if you say you support egoism and uh, it doesn't need to be in selfishness because I'm trying to frame this like I would always say that it benefits everyone to think collectively because if we don't maintain standards in society where we treat other people well, the world is not going to be on a foundation that could support your own happiness if you can't support other people's happinesses and freedoms as well. So I think it's good to work to serve others, and if you serve others, you live in a safer society. I hate the rugged individualism of America. Everyone goes outside afraid of each other, angry at each other, thinking it's a zero-sum game. I think the competitive attitude has torn apart countries. It becomes nationalism. It becomes very dangerous. Becomes very tribal because everyone's thinking, I'm going to defend my own self-interest. I'm not going to support the immigrants or the Muslims or the Jewish or the Christians because I'm not a part of that group, and I have to stay in my in-groups. I don't care about the out-groups. We can't really come together then. So yeah, I would always say it's a good mentality to want to benefit others, but I also think it can be a very selfish endeavor to benefit others as well because it does create a world that I would prefer to live in. For example, I don't want to be around people who are suffering, so I would be okay with us coming together and helping the homeless, even if it's coerced. I would say, all right, guys, we have to help the homeless, and we're gonna vote on this. If it wins the vote, we're gonna do a policy that can help them, and then everyone in society can engage. And I also think those measures are necessary for like an actual free market. If you want to have the idealistic free market, you need to act outside yourself and maintain a system, that'll be balanced, and try to remove like systemic barriers for anyone to engage in a free society. Because then removing barriers to freedom for anyone removes barriers to freedom for everyone. That's usually what people say.
Okay. So you said you were opposed to rugged individualism, and you think people helping out others can also be beneficial for yourself. Um, I guess I'm curious to dig into that a bit more. Like I think there's a compatibility. There can be at least between helping others and helping yourself. Like any job you might work, you're a clerk at a grocery store. Well, you help people get their food, but at the same time you're earning a paycheck. So you're helping yourself simultaneously as to when you're helping others. So it's a win-win kind of transaction. It's not a win-lose where you have to benefit at the cost of someone else. Rather, both of you benefit. Both of you are engaging in a trade. Um, but what is the ultimate purpose? I guess that's what I would ask about. Like, is the purpose of helping others an end in itself? Is it something you do for its own sake, or is it because it benefits you to benefit others? I would say that the reason to help others is because, if there is a reason, it's because it somehow comes back to benefit you. Otherwise, what is the point of it? Why would you do it as an end in itself? It's clear why you would want to benefit
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, well, that
Yeah,
would be
go
my
ahead.
political aim. My political aim would be to convince people to see helping others as their own self interest because I think it is in my self interest as well. If everyone cares about each other, because then my neighbors are gonna be more likely to care about me. We're not going to be fighting each other over resources. We could come to more collective and more proper solutions to problems rather than just trying to take what's ours and maybe screwing people over when we could easily share resources and prosper. I would definitely look up. I forget how to say it. It's North Korea's ideology. It's called JUCHE. Or wait, JUCHE. Sorry, JUCHE. I forget the actual pronunciation of it. But like these authoritarian dictatorships like Russia, North Korea, they preach self-reliance. So they actually believe in like rugged individualism. They believe in extreme protectionism. Do it on our own as a culture, and they perverted that into saying we can allow no outside influences. So sort of like Trump right now with America, saying like we're going to build everything in America, we're going to have everything internal to us. We cannot interact with these globalists or whatever. Usually when leaders start talking like that, they're moving towards a more authoritarian system, and the North Korean ideology that I'm bringing up, it's really interesting because I would say that Republicans, or at least the Republican Party in America, shares a lot of the same rhetoric. And there's like a book that one of the Kim Jong or Kims, one of the Kims, I forget how the names work for the whole family line there. But one of them, um, wrote the book. I think they might have an updated version for Kim Jong Un. I'm not really sure, and his perspective on it. But yeah, it's very very similar. It's very militaristic. Very it's like collectivist, but also individualistic. It's a weird mix. Like usually communism or fascism or authoritarianism has that like third position element. But the rhetoric they use is very similar to like the Republican rugged individualistic language in America, and I think that shows like I don't know. It just seems that when you care too much about the selfish nature of it, or what my group is, whether I'm white or in a religion, I just think it forms too many separate factions in society.
Well, to mention individualism in connection with a place like North Korea, or I don't know if you would include Soviet Russia, it just sounds like a total distortion of uh, what the view actually is. I mean, individualism means individuals are sovereign. They are the most
Oh,
important
I agree
thing.
with you.
And
That's a key point, though. I'm not saying that again. I'm saying that the libertarian, Ayn Rand, objectivism, all those ideologies can be distorted very easily to become the authoritarian. Because look at Trump right now with the Republican Party. He was able to use that rhetoric, and he's probably one of the most authoritarian. He definitely is the most authoritarian president in the past since FDR. Definitely, 100%. And in much worse ways than FDR. He's also going to be, he's using the Alien Insurrection Act or whatever, just like FDR did for the insurrection camps. But yeah, Trump is a huge authoritarian, but he still uses that like individualistic messaging, but he's able to distort it. So I'm saying that these ideas have a higher propensity for being distorted to become systems like over there, or to be perverted into those systems. That's my whole claim about this.
I'm wondering what individualistic messaging you're referring to when you mentioned Trump using it, because I'm not, off the top of my head, I don't know what you might be referring to. I'm kind of curious. Did you have something in mind in particular?
Because just the entire concept of like it justifies these natural hierarchies. Ayn Rand does, where it's like if you're in power, you deserve to be in power because you are better than others by some mechanism. It's not really a monarchy. It's not a theocracy. It's like I don't know what the Ayn Rand version is. I'm sure someone can help me out with this. But it justifies the systemic imbalances in society by just saying like, oh, this person's up there because they deserve it. Or like Trump says, I have good genes. I'm just a genius. When he was just like a trust fund baby that was given free money, and he was never even a billionaire. Like he just lied about that. In America, in much of the same way, many of the billionaires are just straight scam artists. All these people in Trump's administration, in his cabinet, they are all financial fraudsters. They did not make their money through decent means. They have not invented anything. You can argue Musk maybe. He mostly just moved around financial assets, but Musk is probably the only one that's even somewhat involved in real business managing. Most of them are legitimate like fraudsters who worked with China and Russia on a bunch of like actual slimy business dealing. So it's like they use the language of it's hard to. I have to think about this more thoroughly, but they use the language of individualism and like personal freedom, and they use it to become collective. That transition is very difficult to match onto how they go from individualism to the collective. Yeah, I have to think about that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure like what like I certainly can't think off the top of my head of individualist language that or this language I would say is individualistic that Trump uses.
What would you say
I
are
mean, it
some like
says some.
slogans that you consider to be individualistic then?
Well, like the Declaration of Independence has some kind of important language, like all men are created equal and have the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think that's a pretty individualistic uh, viewpoint. Not putting some people above others, saying everyone has the same kind of rights. Um, and as I mentioned, that unfortunately they didn't apply that consistently at the beginning because they had slavery, but eventually, fortunately, that abomination was removed, and then that individualistic principle was eventually implemented in practice, at least much more consistently when the rights of blacks were respected. But I think that's a good statement of individualism, not giving some people like innate power over others, like in the Middle Ages, where you just had some king that's because of his bloodline, he has all this power over other people. You don't have that sort of inherited rights in America. So I think America is more individualist than that. The prior system of monarchy or feudalism or collectivism in a place like Soviet Russia, where you have this duty to live for the state and be part of the state's 5-year plan or whatever it is, instead of being able to pursue the kind of career you want, pursue the kind of goals that you want to pursue. You have to be subordinated to the state's goals. It's not your life to live. Rather, you're subordinated to the state's. So I don't know what, maybe there's that Marxist slogan, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need. I would say that's kind of an anti-individualist sort of statement, right? You're not able to benefit yourself based on your own abilities. Rather, whatever you're able to produce is siphoned off and given to others. So I guess I've given you two contrasting sorts of examples.
I think it might connect to North Korea would say they need national self-reliance and to disconnect from any other country. They hate any collaboration with outside cultures, and that's like a Trump ideology as well. They're very pro-protectionism. They support their like ethnic nationalism. Right now it's Christian nationalism and also American exceptionalism. When someone would say like you need to be self-sufficient and work hard on your own and have personal responsibility, that would then become like a national thing where it's national self-reliance instead of just like personal self-reliance, but where it's distorted and it ignores the other concept of what matters for freedom. If someone is a wealthy business owner right now and they pollute all of your water and take all of your jobs and put you all into factories that don't pay at all, that person can then come and say, and maybe that person was born into a rich family and they got government contracts to be successful. That person might come in and say, wow, you poor people must not work hard. You just don't have enough personal responsibility like I do. When in reality, those people work much harder than the wealthy owner, but it justifies that wealthy owner's position in society because it's like, okay, we have a natural order. He worked harder than us. He's more successful than us. He's more skilled. And like the natural hierarchies, bestowed upon him this position, he just deserves to be in control of us. So I guess that, these are hard things to connect. I have to think more directly about it, because there is a reason that like Donald Trump is probably the most Maoist, collectivist, central planning president we have ever had, especially with the tariff policy, the crackdown on freedom of speech and even the word diversity being banned, banning books all over the country and keeping books like Mein Kampf. How did the Republican Party, which prized themselves on this like rugged individualism and personal responsibility, so quickly become cult members that were going to, be so pro-authoritarian and want to have a dictator and say we need a king, we hate the Constitution, we hate due process, the king, whatever the king says should go, and now we have people begging for his support. So how does the Republican Party, which prides itself on rugged individualism, then become the party of the blatant authoritarian is probably my biggest thing to think about. But yeah, we've been going on for a while. I want to give you a chance to respond to that, then we can end on something then.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, by the way. I appreciate it, and as well as the time. I have been on for a while. I would say, it is a good question. Like, how did the Republicans at least gave lip service to things like individualism, yet they're now kind of mindless drones, I would say, in many cases, the MAGA crowd. And Trump will say something like, they would vote for me even if I shot someone on Fifth Avenue. I do think there is a lot of mindless following of whatever Trump's latest whim is. So whatever they might have used to be in the past, they certainly aren't individualists anymore, I would say. And I also don't think things like nationalism or protectionism are individualist sorts of ideologies. I would say they're anti-individualist. People should be free to trade, for instance, with other individuals wherever they happen to be, without any coercion stopping them from doing so, and to set up these arbitrary metrics that have to be met, or quotas or tariffs, where if you're going to do business with someone else, then you have to pay certain tariff tax. just because they happen to be in a certain country. I think that's a total violation of the rights of the individuals who are actually doing the trade. So I wouldn't say these are examples of individualism. I would say these are examples of collectivism, and I do think they fail to work. And maybe I'll just end on this point about you mentioned like billionaires inheriting wealth. That does happen sometimes, but I do think there are also cases where people become very rich as a result of just having good ideas and having good managerial skills. And they've produced some great product with which lots of people want. Like Steve Jobs, he wasn't born rich, but he headed up a company and produced amazing products like the iPhone, and became very wealthy as a result. I think the mind, as opposed to just brute muscle, is the basic source of value of wealth. This is a major theme in Ayn Rand's writings, contrary to the Marxist idea that it's like brute muscular. It's the material conditions that are the fundamental force that shapes society. I think the ideas that people hold are a very important force, and there's a vast difference in productivity based on the power of minds. Like if you have some genius like Isaac Newton, who was able to come up with these universal laws of physics, and then those are embodied, or they're developed in the scientific revolution, and eventually lead to technology in the industrial revolution, and then you get this explosion of wealth. When you combine the scientific revolution with the political revolution of the Enlightenment, the embracing of freedom, particularly in the United States of America, then you had the most prosperous society ever, I would say. So I think if you respect the role of the mind and recognize that the mind needs freedom to function, and you respect that freedom, then you will get progress. And I think history helps to bear that out. I've tried to give some examples in this call, but I'll leave it there for now.
All right, yeah, I guess, the collectivism I'm talking about is more, if you want to compare democratic socialism versus socialism, it's definitely not socialism or authoritarianism. It's always going to be a system where power is distributed in society. I'd probably favor any system where power is distributed. Anyone who's anti-authoritarian, anti-dictator, I think that's generally a good thing, but I would probably disagree on what the measures are that we need for that. Definitely disagree on the standards of living in the 1800s versus 1900s and how much it grew. I would say it's pretty stark in the contrast of how much better things got in the 1900s. And yeah, the overall, the individualism part is just like, you tell people to work hard, and they think, okay, if I work hard, I'll be successful. They see someone who has tons of money and who can speak well, and they can be easily convinced, like, oh, that person must be, worthy to trust. And yeah, I guess, I would just say there's some myths involved with these different ideologies, and I would say that I myself care more about personal responsibility than Republicans do. But I'm just more upfront about like what the systemic factors are that I see affecting different people, and I can more realistically see it, and they would view it in a more emotional way, and they're just like mad at other people. They don't really care about the power systems in society or whatever. But yeah, thanks for the call. I hope to see you on the channel. Have a great night, man.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
Thank you. You guys are terrible. I hate everyone in chat except people that like me. The algorithm's not working tonight, and it's really hurting my feelings. It's really hurting my feelings. Hurting my feelings, dude. What the heck? Why is the algorithm not working tonight? Let me see how Tom Foolery's doing. Now, you look at Pisco's channel. Pisco's gonna do good because he has a very reliable viewer base, okay? Very reliable viewer base for Pisco. He has Twitch and YouTube. He was on Tim Pool, obviously, and he was friends with Destiny. He has people who watch streams all the time. Now, YouTube Shorts is a little bit harder. So if I look at Tom Foolery, where you're looking for engagements, yeah, Tom Foolery only has 40 total viewers on only the YouTube Shorts. Oh no, he has regular stream up, regular stream, but he only has 39 viewers. Every channel I've seen that streams, other than the big ones, have lost their ability to grow and reach outside of their current audience. So like right now, my impressions right now would be, 500 people on YouTube Shorts would be shown my video. Right now I have 500. Usually it would be like 5,000. An hour into a stream, I would be shown to at least like 5,000 to 10,000 people to see if they want to watch the video. But right now I have 500, that saw the video. So 60 are watching on YouTube Shorts, 60. Whereas if we had 3,000 people who are shown the video, we probably have like 200 or 300 watching. So not much I could do there. Nice. True. Okay. I might try this a little bit later on tonight. It's pretty dead. I'm not gonna get any callers doing this. Fist fight Asmongold in a Bucky's bathroom. People are exhausted. That is true. A lot of viewers from the channels. Hi Caveman, by the way. Again, hi Sliver. Caveman hasn't been around for a while. But yeah, there was that a few weeks after the election. I was growing probably 200 subscribers per day. But it is true that everyone's burnt out. The Discord is a lot less active as well, so there's tons of stuff going on and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you still want to give me a pick me up, Jolah Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal, or through the coffee link. Really appreciate kind words and donations to help me do bullshit like I do on here, all the bullshit I do. Maybe I'll try streaming tomorrow morning or later on tonight. I'll just take a little break and hop on. I'll take a little break off here and hop on in a little bit, see if the stream works. But yeah, nothing I can really do, man. We're not going to get callers. I can't really have a show with no callers. We cannot have a show. We cannot have a show with 0 callers. So, you know what I'm saying? No show with 0 callers.
You're a fucking fag and you know it. Hey, it's me again. I'm just wondering, why do y'all hate Donald J. Trump so much?
Bro, the way they talk about Donald Trump is so pathetic. I would never call into a stream talking about, why do you hate Barack Obama so much? Why do you hate Joe Biden so much? Why do you hate Bernie Sanders so much? Because I care about actual issues and policies that affect people. I'm not just here to be a fanboy. I'm not just a fanboy. Why do you hate Donald J. Trump so much? Bro, go kiss him. Go date him. I know you want that. You think he's attractive in a weird homoerotic way. But I care about policies that can help people. I don't care about your little celebrity battles. You're watching reality TV shows. I'm watching people's reality. And we're talking about vets losing healthcare. We're talking about poor people. We're talking about old people losing healthcare, Social Security. We're talking about attacks on unions. We're talking about real shit. We're talking about people dying. We're talking about constant strikes in Yemen that we're paying for, and strikes in Palestine that we're paying for. We're talking about real world issues. And people call in here saying, why do you talk about Donald J. Trump?
Hey, it's me again. I'm just wondering, why do y'all hate Donald J. Trump so much when he is doing so much for this country?
Bro, you're a fanboy. You're a fan. You're a fan. You're a fan. Just like Kendrick said, you're a fan. You're just a fan. You're a fan. You're a fan. He's doing so much. He is Mr. Superhero. He is powerful. He's the all-powerful. Dude, he's not God. Stop treating Trump like he's the almighty or above the almighty. He's not God.
Only in the 4 years that he's been in office, again, way more than the Democratic Party.
New donation from Kelly R.
The Democratic Party
$10
wanted
Keyshawn is
to
afraid
take
to call
funds
and
from
debate.
us American citizens,
Keyshawn D won't stand up for his crazy
Donald
ideas.
J. Trump wants
Thank
to
you.
put that money back in our pocket.
Donald J. Trump wants to put the money back in our pockets as he's increasing our taxes through tariffs, and he probably thinks tariffs are paid by the other country. And as, whatever, dude. Whatever, dude. Whatever.
So, why do y'all hate Trump so much? He's trying to help us, and he's doing a great job at it. Would y'all rather Biden or Kamala Harris fucking screw over the United States and the American citizens and allow all this illegal immigrants to flood our country and destroy it?
And destroy it. Bro, the country is destroyed, bro. The country is destroyed. Entire cities are burned down. Portland, Oregon is not even there anymore, bro. Portland, Oregon is not there. Portland's gone because of Antifa. It's been gone for years. It just disappeared. It just disappeared. The whole city burned down. Kenosha, gone. Minneapolis, gone. New York City, gone. Gone. America's gone. America, dude, You can't walk outside without being killed by an illegal gang member. That's happening, bro. That's a thing that's happening.
Y'all are stupid.
Thank you.
And
see, if I call him stupid, they're gonna call me condescending because I actually know the shit I'm talking about. But he can call us stupid, and nothing happens. No one calls him any mean words. He can just call us stupid, but everyone knows that he's stupid, so he's allowed to call us stupid. You know how it works?
Y'all have no sense at all.
No sense. No pennies.
Go fuck yourself and have a great day.
Hell yeah, brother. By the way, that's called being a diva. If you talk like that, you're being a diva. Divas talk like that. That's how divas talk. Divas. Divas. Emotional rants. Divas. You are ranting. Girl, if you don't, like, seriously, you are literally talking like a 12-year-old. Like a girl having like a preteen feud in middle school about your first boyfriend. Like you literally sound like that. How dare you talk about Donald J. Trump so much? You hate him so much. You know what he's doing for this country? He's doing so much for this country. And only in the 4 years he's been in office, way more than the Democratic Party. Way more than the Democratic Party. Everyone wanted to take funds from us. Why do you hate Trump so much? He's trying to help us. He's doing a great job. He's doing a great job. Why do you hate Donald J. Trump so much? John Trump, JT, DJT. How dare you? Yeah, girly pop. Thank you so much for the $10, by the way. And you're right. They are afraid to debate. They are afraid. They're just fully authoritarian guys. Exactly. Thank you. Or commit to calling for the next stream. Kashan. If there's a live stream tomorrow, I will call in. There might be. I'm kind of busy tomorrow, but I can possibly stream tomorrow. He's crashing the market and doing insider trading. That is very true. Envy, cite your sources. Who's Envy? Is that a person here? He's going full libtard on us. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. I hope it becomes cool to not be a dumbass again. You know, it should be cool to be a good guy. I'm not even going to talk about trans issues anymore. I'm just going to say be a good guy. Just be a good guy. Be a cool dude. Why are you so uptight? Why are you so uptight right now? You know, we could talk about anyone. Veterans, homeless. We could talk about jobs, unions, healthcare. We could talk about, you know, anything. But you want to talk about pronouns, not policy. Pronouns. Just be a cool guy. Just respect people. Just respect people. Be a cool guy. Be chill. We can talk about trade. We can talk about manufacturing. We can talk about solar panels. We can talk about gas, oil. We can talk about anything. Coal mining. We could have a conversation. But you want to talk about pronouns, not policy. Never policy. You want to talk about pronouns. With all the problems in the world, we have this beautiful country to make better. You wake up, grit your teeth. The first thing you do is think about pronouns. You think about pronouns. The first thing you do when you wake up, first thing, your fist is like the Hey Arnold fist or whatever, where it's like at your side, you're ready to, your fist is all ready to go. And it's like, where's that meme at? Like you wake up and think about pronouns, bro. This is you every day. You wake up in the morning, you're like, wow, bro. Oh, the pronouns. The pronouns really got me mad. I think about pronouns every day. You guys should stop talking about these trans issues and It's like, bro, you talk about the trans people. You talk about the pronouns. You're making yourself mad. It's like Pokemon. You're hurting yourself in your own confusion. You're confusing yourself and hurting yourself. Stop complaining. You talk about trans issues, you know, people that make up 1% of the population more than anything else. Talk about something else. I'm sure you have other things going on. I'm sure you have other issues. Talk about them. Prove you're not just prove you're not just a sheep, a sheeple. Prove you have independent thought. Talk about your life, brother. Talk about problems affecting you. And if you bring up trans people or immigrants, you got to find some problems, bro. You must have a good old life. If you're talking about trans people and immigrants all the damn time, you must have a good old life. Nothing to talk about. Apparently nothing to talk about. Or nothing that you think you can actually control, so you gave up on it. Maybe focus on cleaning up your own room instead of punching down on people. Let's come together and fix some issues together. go at the powerful that are controlling us and manipulating our society to work for them and not work for us. But no, you want to talk about pronouns and trans people and immigrants and talk about the pronouns. Talk about pronouns. Go follow the trap that the ultra wealthy set for you every single time. You are following it. Your little wind-up toy. You'll follow the toy when they throw it for you. You're like a puppy playing fetch. You'll bring back that bone every single time, and you'll say, "Thank you, Mr. Trump. Thank you, Mr. Trump, for taxing us more through tariffs and cutting taxes for the ultra wealthy. Thank you, Mr. Trump, for doing so much for me by helping you feel less offended." All Trump has done for you is make you feel less offended because you're offended by liberals and pronouns and trans people and immigrants. You just feel less offended because of Donald Trump. Can we please get to the actual issues? All right. I had to go full liberal on him. Chad is so triggered. It's policy to let trans people in sports. Hey, buddy. You have an easy life if that's your biggest concern. Very easy life. And we probably all agree you could put rules in place for trans people in competitive sports in high school and college. But your obsession with this issue makes me think you are trans and you're scared to admit it. Scared of less than 0.5% of the population. True. Mr. Baker told a Senate committee in December there were less than 10 transgender less than 10 trans athletes in the NCAA. Let's talk about it for another 250 days. Another 5 years. Let's talk about that, bro. Oh no, there's trans people in a freaking pool tournament, bro. In pool. Did you guys see that on Fox News when they were having a breakdown over a pool tournament with trans people in it? Like pool. Like the sport pool with a pool table. Like, I'm sorry, but I did not know there was an extreme cause for safety concern with a pool table. You're talking about pool. You're talking about a pool table and trans people. What the hell? You're thinking about the wrong sticks and balls, brother. Daddy Trump. You're obviously not very smart if you think that all Trump is doing is bad. He is getting real shit done, actual shit, not all the Biden-Harris administration. Listen, buddy. Listen. I'm not smart. But I do use Google. And that puts me above you. I'm praying for you. Good MAGA soldier. Another commie crap brain dead dickhead. Wow. Enticing. Just showing how leftists are dumb for believing that crap. I just respect people, you know? You just believe you know everything. That's the issue. Like, American conservatives believe they're experts on every single topic. I have heard such bullshit from people I grew up with, bro, that they knew nothing about. I heard, like, American conservatives will talk about anything as if they're some type of authority. Confidently. I know so many people growing up who talked about all these conspiracy theories. And they were like, yeah, bro, I understand everything about the space shuttle to the moon. It's like, so confident. They're going to crash the dollar, and then there won't be any more American dream, just a handful of oligarchs. Well, we're already going there. That's one reason I was thinking about running for something, low-key, high-key, whatever the key is. Because, like, if we don't successfully push back against this the next few years, like, they're going to install the full China-style surveillance state. They already talked about it, the AI watching us, and, like, Elon Musk talked about replacing our teachers with AI to teach our kids. It's like, bro, just, like, pay the teachers. Medium key. Google on political topics like on their behalf. You know what? DuckDuckGo. Don't use Google. Use DuckDuckGo because I know you probably think Google is propaganda. I'm not a conservative. I'm an ANCAP. Well, you should have told me that. I don't want to make fun of your disability. Jesus. You're an ANCAP. You're no ANCAP, bro. You're an ANCAP crying about trans people in sports. ANCAP. Okay. Like, come on, bro. The tax cut is going to cost a lot more now that Treasury bond rate has gone up. On whatever Gotham needs me to be. Jeez. I got my money on robots. Well, once they have robots, they're killing us, bro. I don't know why anyone thinks that they're going to keep us around when the robots can do all the jobs. We're talking about a universal basic income, bro. Americans still don't know that they pay for the tariffs. Americans still don't know that importers pay for the tariffs. And you think we're going to have a society where robots are going to come and we're going to get a paycheck from it? Are you kidding me? We're going to be in the mines. We're going to be down in the mines, bro. You were wrong about the Trump deportations. I'm 100% right. Everything I've ever said about Trump's deportations is 100% factual based. And I have the Supreme Court on my side now, dumbass. Dumbass. You dumb butt. Yeah, people watch. Drop a like on the stream. Drop a like on the stream. Someone can call in. Someone could. Someone can. I don't like Kamala because she went back on a lot of things. Bro, Trump went back on himself 50 times this week alone. He went back on the tariffs and back on the tariffs and back off the tariffs and back on the dollar being weak and being strong and back off, bonds mattering and not mattering. Like, Trump has changed his entire position on everything this week like 50,000 times alone. There's no world in which Donald Trump is not more corrupt. He's not more conniving than any other politician. He's the most corrupt politician that we've seen in our lifetimes, by far. Thoughts on Trump's war on penguins? I think he's going to pang lose. He's not going to penguin that one. Funny. The Trump admin is trying to say the ruling backed up the district court couldn't tell Trump to bring the guy back. Yeah, they used the one word, shifting. Well, they directly violated the other court order about giving updates or whatever, right? Or they're going to violate that one. There's another court order they did violate that I have to look up. But, wait, you got what do you mean you got Panama Canal back? Who got the damn Panama Canal back? Who do you think got the Panama Canal? What do you think's happening down there? BlackRock got it? Actually, the sale of BlackRock is actually shutting down. Deporting someone to a foreign prison. 34 convictions, but leader is never corrupt as everyone else. That is a really interesting thing about Trump. He convinced everyone he never did a crime. It's like he did crimes in his private life and like corruption and all that kind of shit. And it's like no one ever looks at the information of the case and says, yeah, this guy's not guilty. And they just go off of Donald Trump's recollection, his retelling of it. Trump just talks to them and they're like, yeah, this guy can't be guilty because he's my daddy. It's like that one meme where it's like, what's that meme that says, the meme text message where it says, the meme where it's like, don't worry kitten. Meme text message, don't worry kitten. This one. Oh, it's the actual it's the actual meme. Like, this meme is literally Trump to a T. What's going on with your criminal case? Don't worry kitten. Okay, yay. What's going on with your felonies? They rigged it against me. Okay, yay. What's going on with the economy? Don't worry, they pay for the tariffs. Okay, yay. You guys are in an abusive relationship with an old man. Trump University. Thanks for hanging out, Chad. Women can't compete with men. Yeah, they can. We do tons of co-ed sports. High key. Tell the truth. Hi, Devin. James Stern. No, SCOTUS upheld Trump deporting the college kids that every liberal move. Okay. That's bad, even if it was legal. It's still terrible. that they're using facial recognition and social media scanning to determine who is anti-Semitic, aka anti-Israel, and they're spending our tax dollars to take away visas from people who are here legally to deport them for no reason other than their speech. If you're pro that, you're anti-American. You're anti-American if you're pro them doing that. And you really don't care about, like, what are they using my tax dollars for? You don't give a shit. Women destroy men in ultramarathons. See, women have a biological advantage to men. United States of Israel. No, I love Israel. I would never say anything anti-Israel. I'm way too scared to say anything anti-Israel. I do think it's really bad that they are suppressing the voice of Jewish students. Yeah. He literally struck down the bipartisan border security bill because it was going to give Democrats a win. So he decides to fake it or to take it and make the southern states less safe. Well, yeah, it's all about politics. Most people that complain about immigration have never even interacted with an immigrant. And you can tell this by all the stats. Those who live in cities around immigrants in sanctuary cities are very pro-immigrant. The people in sanctuary cities are pro-immigrant, but people who never visit cities are anti-immigrant. The people from all white communities in the middle of a suburb or rural area are anti-immigrant, but people that are actually in a multicultural area love immigration. They love it because they know immigrants, and they know immigrants are great people. And you'll be like, no, they aren't great people because they do crimes. No, you can bring up one story of one immigrant doing a crime, but if you think one immigrant doing a crime means all immigrants do crime, then you just don't like immigrants, brother. There are no good or bad immigrants to you. It's just how it is, and that's okay. We're all allowed to be stupid in our own ways, and I support you being stupid. I support you! Oh, lame, you still unemployed. I am unemployed. That's why I need people to donate to Jolah Politics on Cash App or PayPal or Venmo. Dumbass. I'm broke.
Hello.
Hi, this is Jolah Politics on YouTube. What's up?
Hey, I'm trying to get a hold of you to talk to you.
Oh yeah, let's talk. You're on the stream now.
Hey, how's it going, buddy? So I'm not super familiar with your channel, but just broadly, it says Trump is bad across the banner. So just wanted to first get your thoughts and give me a brief synopsis of why you think that, and I'll see if I can rebut maybe a couple things.
So the tariffs are the biggest tax increase in America since the 1950s. Definitely the biggest tax increase ever done by one person in American history. But yeah, that's really bad for the economy. I mean, that's the policy. We'll see that if they keep these policies in place, yeah.
Okay.
With the tariffs. I mean, that's what they are. It's an import tax.
I don't think that they're meant to be sweeping and permanent, right? I think we both agree that they're not meant to be sweeping and permanent.
If they're not sweeping or permanent, they wouldn't have any effect on anything then, though. Or what do you think they're for?
Right. I think the purpose largely is the uncertainty. I think the uncertainty is kind of necessary. Otherwise, it's not really a negotiation tool, is it? If you know that they're not going to be permanent, or they are going to be permanent, then you don't really have that as a tool, which is largely what it's being used for. And okay, so I'll say it's like nuanced, right? So for the case of like the EU and probably even Canada and Mexico, it's mostly a negotiation tool. When it comes to like the China tariffs, for example, though, that is certainly being used to restructure the global trade order. So I think it's multi-purpose.
Okay. I would say that there's zero proof any of that is happening. There's zero reason to negotiate with Canada or Mexico. It's a bad negotiation tactic. It's having the American dollar is being weakened right now. We are losing investors. People are losing faith in America as a concept because of our shaky leadership. The uncertainty is terrible for negotiations as well. It's putting us in a... It was not happening nearly as much as it is now. Uncertainty is terrible. The investors are going to flee from America to other countries now because America is so unstable with our economic policy. It's terrible at all. to have these kinds of disruptions in the market. And you can have negotiations for trade deals without doing what Trump's doing right now. And Trump did that his first term with the USMCA. There's no reason, like nothing happening
What were the
right now
repercussions?
means.
What were the
For what?
repercussions? Because we saw these tariffs in the first term, and if they were so bad, why
No,
weren't
we
they
did not see these
pulled back
tariffs.
by
We did not see these tariffs.
We didn't see these. We saw a sample. We saw a sample of it. Why
Well,
weren't they
no.
repealed?
Okay, so those were targeted tariffs, which
By
is the
the
one way
next
people say they
administration.
can be used because they're targeted tariffs. These tariffs are
Mhm.
on probably, I'm guessing those tariffs are on like a couple $1 billion in goods. These are probably on 500 or like a multi-trillion dollars in goods, I assume. So
Right.
this is like 1 million. It's probably actually 1,000 times larger than the scope of the last tariffs. These are across the board, every single country exactly the same, which is insane. Why are we taxing
Well,
coffee at the same price as we're coughing, as we're not coughing, coffee? We're taxing coffee at the same price we're tariffing everything else. It makes zero sense at all. Like nothing right now makes any sense.
well, let's also not just think about tariffs from a purely economic point of view, because I don't think that that's the whole story here. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you've definitely heard people say that, like, so it's not just an economic issue, it's also a national security issue, this trade and manufacturing problem that we're experiencing in the United States. The fact that we don't have our own domestic production that can sustain itself in terms of like steel and, building ships, critical infrastructure, definitely rare earth minerals. Like these things are vital for national security as well. So it's important to understand it from all the lenses, right?
Oh, I know. I am pretty well versed in policy. I do policy work. I know a lot about this stuff. And yeah, if we want to bring back manufacturing, we should do what Biden did with the CHIPS Act, where we subsidize that manufacturing in America and target different industries that could be good for national security. The tariffs that Trump's doing right now is going to make us have less manufacturing, less investment. Companies are going to pause their projects if he keeps these in place. And
Why do you
again,
think that we're going to have less manufacturing?
because it's going to be
Can
more
you elaborate
expensive
on
to
that,
do
please?
manufacturing. It'll be more expensive to build factories. It takes 3 to 5 years to build a factory. It takes around 10 years to move entire supply chains. So throughout that
Yeah, part of
process,
that is also regulations. So it's multi. This isn't
no,
like
okay, so
the
even if
only
we cut
policy
our,
taking place, right? So this is like tariffs in a vacuum. Probably
if we
bad,
even
right?
cut
But it's
regulations
coupled
in
with
1/10,
lower regulation, right?
the issue, no. Even with lower regulation, buying property for this, having workers to build the property, having the blueprints for what you want to actually make at these factories, building that also takes a long time. Then you have to staff that. Then you have to talk about the entire supply chain in America, and you have to be able to resource the materials you need. So like, there's a lot of things that we build that we need to have some type of global trade relationship with, especially Canada and Mexico. Fighting with them makes zero sense in any realm for any reason at all. Fighting with the EU makes no sense at all. Fighting with places like Vietnam or Taiwan makes zero sense at all. Just none of this makes any sense. And if you're going to have policies where you change it every single day, no one's going to invest in America because they don't know if Trump's going to wake up with a temper tantrum tomorrow and turn them on or off or decrease them or increase them. Investors want long-term stability. They want to know what's the plan for the next 5 years so I can make a 5 to 10 year investment. It's not going to, like, whatever
Stability
Trump's
for
doing right
who?
now is going to break for anyone. Like, why would someone spend money in America if the president's going to change the
Do you
taxes
think we've had
every
that
single
in
day?
America? You think we've been very stable?
I'm saying we're
Stably
becoming. If
increasing
you
or
think we
stably
were not
decreasing?
stable, I'm talking about the tariffs. The tariffs are destabilizing America right now, objectively.
No.
You could look at
Okay,
the currency, you
I
could look
hear
at the
you, but I'm
bonds.
saying prior. Let's talk about prior to tariffs, though, right?
Okay, the tariffs are making things worse.
Because,
That's the big conversation here. If Trump was doing something to make it better, we could talk about that. But the tariffs are making this
but we
situation
don't
far
know that
worse.
they're making it worse. You're
I know for
speculating.
a fact they're making it worse. Yes, because they are taxing the
You're
American people,
speculating.
and they result in no positive
Well,
outcomes.
where's the increase? If you're saying it's a tax, but where have we seen the increase right now?
They're not in full effect for every single good, and companies have bought in bulk to avoid the
Okay.
tariffs. Hopefully Trump will reverse them. But if you have a 10% tariff on every import plus 145% from China, then we're going to see prices skyrocketing for pretty much every single thing people buy: shoes, any type of
What
clothing,
about, okay,
cars.
so what do you say about everyone else doing tariffs on us?
Well, the tariffs that any other
what
countries
about the
do on
tariffs
us
on
is
our
probably
goods?
1/10 of what we're doing to them. And it's for very targeted goods. They could pick industries and protect them. So like American beef, for example, American beef is terrible, chemical polluted, weird hormones in it. They might
Right.
say, hey, we don't want your beef. They might tariff that. Targeted tariffs are different. And
Right.
if you have a problem with those, you could talk to those countries and make a new trade deal. There's no reason to tank our economy and tax the American people. And you could say I don't see the cost increases yet. You will, and we'll be paying the tax, and we'll have a huge tax increase from it. And businesses will pass at least a majority of those costs down to us. It's just like it just makes no sense.
Okay, I would like to ask you, what would your answer be to the trade deficits that we see between the United States and everyone else?
Trade deficits
Because we're
don't
a
really
consumer
matter.
culture. That's not good. Trade. Okay. So I understand that they don't matter. They matter. They matter to an extent for the U.S. dollar specifically. And everyone pretty much that knows anything would agree that it's actually necessary for us to some extent have a trade deficit, right? We have to.
Well, if you are a rich country buying from a poor country,
currency.
Well, we're rich. We're a rich country. If we'd be a poor country, it'd be easier. But we're a rich country buying from poor countries, so we'll have a trade deficit. Countries with trade deficits make more money typically. We're better off because we have a trade deficit. It's usually a good thing. We have a trade surplus with like Australia.
We need them to have our dollars. So how do we give them our dollars? We buy stuff from them.
Global finances is a lot more complicated than this policy being bad, and we're actually losing strength in the dollar as well from from the tariffs, and people are fleeing from American investments. Our bond market's going crazy right now. People are losing confidence in America.
A lot of that started actually with the sanctions on Russia. That was pretty bad. That you see the growth of BRICS after that. Once people realize, if the U.S. is upset about something we're doing, they'll just stop letting us use their currency.
Well, that's been the case for a long time.
That already created a level of uncertainty.
That's different from the tariffs, though. So the tariffs are bad because we're fighting our allies for no reason.
They're different, yeah. But
Canada and Mexico, 25% is insane. There's zero reason at all to fight Canada and Mexico. We need them for national security, too. We cannot have Canada and Mexico hating us for national security purposes. They have a lot of resources, a lot of workers.
Well, what are they doing for our
lot.
national security prior to the tariffs? What are they doing? Mexico specifically allowed everyone to run through into the United States, which I don't think is a good thing.
Well, Mexico has done a lot of investment to help stem the flow of illegal migration, but also Mexico with the supply chains and our production through Mexico and Canada provide a solid foundation if all of our economies can connect through trade deals like the USMCA to benefit each other. It's good to have those because we're connected by land to have that production here. Mm-hmm. It's really good to have that, but there's no reason to be fighting them or to be fighting Australia or to be fighting, like I said before, the EU. The fact we're fighting them, none of this makes any sense. Even with China, the tariffs at 145% really do not make any sense for American purposes either. If you want to say some industries are good for national security,
I think we should be
pick those
contesting China with everything that we have, to be honest.
That is not attacking China, though. Attacking China would be encouraging our own production. Attacking China would be restructuring trade agreements with other countries, like the TPP that Obama did that Trump left.
People from importing from China is a great thing.
But we're not. They're just going to route it through other countries. We need trade deals with other countries that are not China to isolate China. We are not isolating China right now. If anything, we're pissing off every country in the world. The EU, Canada, and Mexico are making historical deals with China now because America's pushing all of our allies away because we're talking about invading them. So they're going to China. We're helping China right now.
We're talking about invading who?
We're talking about invading Greenland and Canada and Panama constantly. And owning Palestine as a resort, or owning the Gaza Strip as a 5-star resort.
Did we say own or did we say develop?
Both. Trump has said both multiple times. They're both the same thing. He said it's a piece of real estate. He said it's a good piece of real estate, and they have to clean it up. It's insane, dude.
That's hard. Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, this is really it's a hard situation that we're in right now, bud, with the political candidates that were given. So I'm not going to say that Trump is the best thing. You'll hear a lot of people say that he's the savior of America. And I truly don't think he's the worst thing for America, but I just think the alternative is just who did we have? We had Kamala Harris, right? But the problem with Kamala Harris is we didn't really know what that meant, nobody really knows what that means for Kamala Harris to be president, because truthfully, Kamala Harris was never on the ballot. It was the giant political machine that stood behind Kamala Harris. And I think that that's worse in a way, right?
Well, Trump is a political machine too. And if anything, he has a lot less reputable people, a lot of fraudsters, a lot of con artists and billionaires that are just in his staff because they donated to him. Elon Musk gave him $300 million and became one of the co-presidents. So that is pretty bad. But like Kamala Harris's policies on paper were a
Co-president's
million
little
times
bit
better than
silly,
Trump.
buddy. Come on.
Kamala Harris's
Co-president
policies
is a
were
little
way
bit
better than
silly.
Trump's policies on paper for the campaign. Like 100% better.
Yeah, but you have no reason to trust anything Kamala Harris says. She
I have
flip-flops
the
on
Chips and
everything.
Science Act. I have the Inflation Reduction Act. I have the infrastructure plan that was passed under Biden. I have the fact that they would not be saying we need to take Gaza as real estate, or they would not start a massive trade war with zero plan with the entire world and crash our markets, and make everyone lose confidence in America as a project and turn to China. I know they would not have done that, and they would have helped to encourage, like Biden increased American manufacturing more than any president since Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but no one really cared because he didn't campaign well and he was about to die on the campaign trail. So,
Well, it's also because Joe Biden was never president, and I think everyone knows that. That's also what's
Donald
so
Trump
scary
is making
about it.
zero plans right now. Donald Trump, they asked him about like the Alien Enemies Act. He said, "Oh, I don't even know if I signed that or not." And they were deporting people unlawfully. Like Trump has no idea what's going on right now. He was walking into a plane today and he couldn't even fit his umbrella through the door. He looked like he saw an alien when he saw the umbrella not fit through the plane door.
Are we pretending like those are the same thing, Joe Biden?
I'm
and
saying
Donald
that
Trump, in
if you
terms
think
of
Joe
their,
Biden's a
like,
puppet and Trump's not, you're
coherence?
biased. If you think one is a puppet and the other one's not, you're biased. And anyways, when you vote for a president, you're voting for the
that's
entire
not what I'm
administration.
saying.
You're voting for the whole administration anyway. It doesn't matter who the president is. It matters who the administration is, who is working in the cabinet.
Correct.
Biden's cabinet is an
Correct.
all-star team compared to Trump's. That's the issue.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're not single issue then. So other than tariffs, what are your other grievances?
Well, when they asked Trump if he had a healthcare plan, he said, "I have concepts of a plan." He still only has concepts, which is, I think, really bad if we're going to accept a president
But
with
do you
zero
expect
healthcare
every
plan.
president to have a plan on every policy?
Yeah,
You think?
yeah.
Isn't that
He's
up
not
to
in
the
like
agency?
he's
Isn't
not
that
there
why
for
you
Make a
appoint
Wish. He's there to be
individuals?
president. He should have an idea of what healthcare means, though.
Yeah. Yeah, but you want him to have a whole sweeping healthcare plan? Has every president
Yeah,
historically had a sweeping healthcare plan?
they usually have a plan in general. He doesn't even have a plan, let alone a sweeping plan.
Well, come on, he has a concept of a plan. Let's cut him some slack.
He does have a concept. He does have a concept. That is true. It is a concept
Come on.
for sure.
Let him have it. Let him have it. He's got a concept.
But yeah, I mean,
Well,
yeah,
can we
healthcare,
talk
there's
about
nothing there.
can we talk about the other big elephant in the room, which would be Doge? I would like to hear your grievances about Doge.
Doge has literally done nothing except cut people from the government who are like working in the VA and stuff like that.
They've done nothing but cut.
Yeah, just
VA
firing
workers?
federal workers. They just fired federal workers. That's all they really did. They did not detect any waste, fraud, or abuse. They did not do any of that.
So okay, so I'm interested on why you think that they haven't done what they said and have shown that they've done.
They haven't shown that they've done anything. Musk has lied about Social Security numbers. He's lied about like people getting paid on Social Security who are like 200 years old, or kids getting or unborn kids getting paid or whatever. Like he's lied his ass off about pretty much. Actually, he lied his ass off about literally everything. They
Well,
never
we don't
found waste,
think
fraud,
that
or
these things
abuse.
exist. We don't think that Social Security fraud exists.
No, the head of the Social Security agency appointed by Trump literally confirmed no payments are going out to anyone above the age of like 110 or whatever.
Okay, that's not what he said. He never said there were Social Security payments going out to people who. He said there were active Social Security numbers. That's different.
They were not
Because
getting
people with active
payments.
Social
There was no
Security number
fraud.
can still pull social benefits.
They knew
outside
about
of
those
Social
numbers.
Security.
Okay, they were not pulling benefits out of it. That's the thing. Musk lied about that. There's no waste, fraud, or
Well, he
abuse
never
found
even
there.
said they were pulling benefits out of it. He just
Yeah,
said that
he
there
never
were
said
active
anything.
Social Security numbers.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't. That means nothing. He found no waste, fraud, or abuse. Yeah. He found things
Well,
he
what
doesn't
can you do
like.
with an active Social Security number? There's
Did
a
he prove
plethora of
that
things
there
you
was
can do with
anything
active
being
Social
done?
Security numbers.
Did he prove that there was anything
Well,
being done? I thought he found waste, fraud, or abuse, not just like random numbers that no one was using.
well, there's also the USAID.
USAID
as a whole.
killing the entire USAID is insane. USAID is very beneficial
think
to
we
the US
should-
globally.
There's a certain point where something just becomes so, like a limb, for example, right? If you get a scratch or if you get like a giant gash on your arm, you go and you make a repair
This is
to
so
that.
cringe.
Right?
Oh, it's so cringe. No, this is so stupid. There's a reason
Hey,
we need to use
dude.
other examples like an arm being cut versus actually talking about the policy. USAID helped us immensely in Africa with global international development, helped stem
In what way?
the
In what way
stem
is
the
that our
beginning of
responsibility? Also,
stem the beginning of pandemics globally, helped us with trade deals, It helped us avoid wars in different regions. It helps us have influence throughout the world without having to fire a shot. It helps American soft power. It helps independent journalism in
Just
authoritarian
because we have
countries.
influence doesn't mean that influence is good. I think you're operating
Yeah,
on a
you
lot
can
of
disagree
presumptions
with
here.
some parts of it, but you should not kill the entire agency like China wants. China celebrated when we got rid of USAID. That was a huge thing on China's wish list. Is for us to kill
I know
that
because they have their
program.
whole Belt and Road initiative that
Yeah,
is
and we helped
basically their
them.
USAID.
We help them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're replicating our programs and stealing our influence globally. China is taking over because of Trump and because of Musk. You would never kill
agree you shouldn't
USAID
create a
in
vacuum like that.
America. Like, there's no reason to kill USAID. They just brought up like a trans parade because they know conservatives get really offended and start peeing themselves when they talk about like gay people. So like that's all they brought up to kill USAID. They brought up no waste, fraud, or abuse or whatever.
I think those are bad things. I don't think I think if a single dollar is spent on something like that, I think that's not the role of the U.S. government. It's certainly not the job of the U.S. taxpayer to fund that.
Okay, you could change the law or do it differently. You shouldn't kill all of USAID. And like, if you're a freedom, like the issue with that is, so we support like media,
And I
independent
also
journalism,
just don't think
in
we
like
need to be
authoritarian
spreading our
countries.
influence and promoting infrastructure
Okay,
globally.
then learn
when
how
we
to
have
speak
such
Chinese.
poor
Learn how to
infrastructure
speak
here.
Chinese. Learn how to speak Chinese. We should be fixing our infrastructure, but we can't tax the rich to do it. But Biden actually passed an infrastructure bill. Biden never passed an infrastructure bill. But if you want to stop influencing the globe, learn how to speak Chinese. Have fun.
Oh no. Well, look, it's difficult because like, are we
We'll speak
in a
American.
place
They'll speak
ourselves
Chinese.
where we can be
English and Mandarin are gone. We're speaking English and Chinese, or American and Chinese.
American and Chinese?
Yep.
I could see a benefit in learning Mandarin for that purpose.
Yeah, because they're gonna overtake us with Trump in charge. So
You think so?
globally, if Trump continues these policies for another 4 years without Congress stepping in,
You think China would
100%,
sweep Europe?
100%, China's gonna take over as a global power because of Trump. Yeah, because Trump is so bad as a president. Yeah.
I think they currently are a global power.
Yeah, but they're gonna
I
win
think
now.
largely, if you look at the influence that they have within the United States, it already shows they already have the silent upper hand. You know what I mean? I think in promoting a lot of these like ideologies that we promote in America, a lot of that is probably stemming from outside of America, to be honest.
Well, China and
And
Russia
it's
helped
pouring
Trump
in.
win for a reason. They supported propaganda to help Trump win because they wanted Trump in charge because they knew Trump was a terrible leader from the first term too. And he's like a dumbass reality TV star that pretended to be a businessman on TV. So it's whatever.
I think it's better to have a candidate in which you at least know what he's going to do because he said the things that he's going to do versus to vote for the political machine.
Yeah, he did say he was going to do really dumb things. You won. You beat the political machine by having Donald Trump, who was a donor to Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, who was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein and P. Diddy. You really beat the establishment. Good job.
He was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein when he kicked him out of his hotel
Best
for
friends. He was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for many, many years. He only kicked Epstein out of his hotel when Epstein went after one of his clients' kids. That's the only reason Trump kicked him out, because he had to. He was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a long time. And P. Diddy. They were all best friends. And a huge Clinton donor. But no, he's not establishment.
I agree that he was a Democrat prior to
We beat the establishment.
running for president.
He gave the ultra rich huge tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts of all time for the ultra wealthy. The ultra wealthy, the establishment, they're very upset about this. They're going to be really happy or really mad when they go when they're in Punta Cana or whatever island, just like partying, or Cayman Islands, stashing their cash away. Yeah, they're really upset that the IRS is dead now and Trump's going to give them a huge tax cut. I'm sure the ruling class is reeling right now. I mean,
why are all those same people the people that are against Trump then, other than just the very
because they know he's going to kill America. They know he's gonna kill America as a power. Yes, they know he's a bad leader.
Killing America. They have no ties to America. Are you joking?
Yeah, they do have ties to America.
They do have. This country care about America in that way?
Yeah, they do care because America is what dictates global freedom.
What have they done to show you that they care about America? Are you serious?
Because America is the only thing preventing our globe from being dominated by China and authoritarian countries. America is the beacon of freedom for a reason.
We were going to be dominated already. That was already going to happen. Are you joking?
You Trump supporters are just giving up. You're just giving up. You're giving up.
Okay, listen. The fact that we're promoting ideologies that kill children and we promote like anything that is not a nuclear
Yeah,
family,
the fact that you're
anything that is
offended,
like
the fact that you're
conducive for.
offended that is not a nuclear family, you're offended by anything that's not a nuclear family, shows your weakness. If you're offended by other people's
I'm
lifestyles,
not
if
offended
you
by
are
that.
okay,
I'm
do you realize right now?
statistically
You
it will
realize
lead
right
to a
now that
failing
Trump is
society.
crashing our economy with tariffs, and you're talking about gay people and pronouns as the biggest thing that's making us be defeated.
I'm talking
You
about
are the reason we're being
population
defeated.
collapse,
You
you
are the weak
goofball.
man. You are the weak person that comes from good times because you're obsessing over this baby shit. You don't have any real solutions for the future. You're just mad. You're
Population
offended about
collapse.
pronouns. You're offended about pronouns right
We
now.
have a
You're
birth
offended
rate
about
of
pronouns.
1.8.
You're offended about pronouns, bro. You're offended
I
about
didn't
pronouns
even
and gay
mention
people.
pronouns.
Then do handmaid's tale.
You're
Force women to
making a
get pregnant to
straw man
reproduce.
because you
Then,
know you can't
if you
fight
want to
actual
force women to reproduce, that'd be great. Well, if you want a straw man or a steel man or whatever, we need immigration. We need legal immigration. All the legal immigrants Trump's kicking out right now, we need them to help America be bolstered.
We
All the
need to
scientists
make
and doctors.
kids.
Okay, then have your handmaid's tale somewhere else. Your ideology is literally super smart. You're a genius.
It's not an ideology. It is just how
We already
societies
lost to
have
China,
functioned
so let's
historically forever.
okay. So we
recently.
lost to China. Let's ruin our relationship with Mexico and Canada and the EU. Let's give China everything. Good job. We did it.
Why do you think I want to
Let's
give
just give
China
up.
everything? Because I want people to have children. I
Because
think
you
it's
want
a
to do
good thing.
stupid
You should
policies.
promote-
You know I'm not responding to the children. You know,
shouldn't
you know I'm not responding to the children.
Look,
I'm responding to. Oh,
you shouldn't
are you okay? Are
discourage
you in
people from
favor?
having kids.
Do you think okay? America's the only country that does not do paid family medical leave. Should we do paid family medical leave?
They don't do paid family medical leave.
Yeah,
literally
we have 0
get
weeks
paid
guaranteed in
family
America.
medical leave, and I
Okay,
am a
you are
government
not
employee.
everyone. We have okay. In other countries, in Europe and in other countries, it's guaranteed paid family medical leave. So even if you're not a government employee, even if you don't have a good job, you're guaranteed to have paid family medical leave, no matter what your job is. Should we do that in America to encourage people to have families to make it easier?
Who's paying for the paid family medical leave? The
Oh, so you
taxpayer?
don't really give a shit. You don't really care. You don't care. Okay. Who's paying
It's
for it? That's what I
hard.
asked.
Okay, look, these are
We could
hard
just tax
things
the
because
people
you
who
can't
own
really
billions and
compare
billions of
us.
dollars. We could tax
You
them a little
can't
bit more.
compare us to the other countries. We're the third most populous country in the world. If you want to
so
compare us
the
to
women
people,
got to get pregnant. We
compare
can't
us
help
to
the
people
women.
with comparable populations.
We can't help the women. Oh, we have more money than them. It's easier for us. We have more money. We have more resources. If Europe can do it, why can't we? If Europe can do it, why can't America do it?
How is Europe doing? Is
Good,
our population
fine.
faring well against China? Are they doing well?
Well, they're
How's
leaving
their
America
immigration
now.
policy treating them?
Oh, see,
How's their-
you're one of
how's
those
their
guys. You're one of those
immigration policy
guys.
treating them?
They're fine. Yeah, they're completely fine.
Are you joking?
Historically, yeah, they're fine. Everyone's really upset right now and offended by stuff. but-
Sweden became the rape capital of the world.
Sweden. Oh,
organically?
you follow those lines as well. See, you don't care about making society better. You live in a bubble. You're in like this little fantastical version of reality that doesn't exist. You're gonna let the entire globe burn before you'll admit that we can do things that build things. So you're against paid family medical leave because of Europe's immigration policies. How does
I'm
that
not
tie
against
to being against paid family medical leave in America?
medical leave. I'm not.
Then we should
against
do it
that.
here. We
I
should
never
do it
said
in
that I
America.
was
Then
against that.
we should guarantee it in America. We should guarantee it for everybody in America. Paid
We
family
should
medical leave.
figure out how to make it work, and let's do it. We could do that, but how is that going to save us
And we
against
should have
China?
child tax credits
That seems to be your
because you
big-
said we need
that
kids. You
seems
said we
to
need
be-
kids. We should do policies that support mothers if they have kids.
Well, I think what we could do is stop discouraging people from having kids. That's step one. Before you can even encourage, you have to stop discouraging, which is what we currently do. Our current policy.
Oh, right
is
now,
kill
do not have kids. Do
discourage-
not have kids right now. Do not have kids, guys. Do not have kids in this current climate where people can't even admit that the 2020 election was not stolen. Honestly, do not have kids if they're going to be like this. Honestly, like, do not
I
put a
don't
kid
think
into
the
this world.
2020 election was stolen.
Okay, well, I'm just saying the president does. The president is a lunatic. I would not trust having a kid in this environment. Maybe we should pick
Why?
actual
'Cause you're
leaders then.
scared?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if the president's gonna be this dumb and like this insane, yeah.
You have 4 years, dude. You have 4 years
Yeah.
versus 18 plus years.
Yeah, it is gonna be a long
have-
time. Have a kid
That is
after
a
Trump
long
is
time, I
president. Make
agree.
sure America's still gonna be a country and still a democracy.
You should have kids now and not be so scared of a politician that
No,
you're
do
willing
not
to
have kids.
put your family
Do
on
not
hold
have
for
kids. Do not have kids. Just to
that.
spite this
It's the
person, do
best
not
thing
have
you
kids.
can do
Adopt.
for your life, to be
Do you
honest.
do you
It's the
think
most
gay couples
fulfillment you
should
will
be able to
find
adopt?
is in making a family.
Do you think gay couples
What?
should be able to adopt?
I don't think they should be discouraged from adopting. It's not my preference, but I think I'm actually probably in a minority opinion in saying that, yeah, I think they probably should be able to.
Well,
But it's
minority
certainly not
opinion
my
for
preference.
conservatives for sure.
minority opinions are for conservatives.
Yeah, because most people would be okay with gay people adopting, or not even be okay with it, just like, yeah, that's normal. But conservatives, a lot of them will say no to.
Well, it's certainly not normal. We can agree that it's not the norm in terms of like what nature would have, right? Because what nature would have is
you want to talk about the gay animals?
The two creatures that create the kid would have the kid.
Well, some
I'm saying
nature reproduces
the two
on its
things
own.
that create the kid. You don't see gay animals like raising animals. What do you mean?
So
I'm
penguins.
saying what nature would
actually,
have.
penguins. No. Okay, penguins have sex with each other.
Hold on. I'll be super impressed. Actually, I will actually be impressed if you find me an example of this. Off your head right now, I would be impressed.
I just googled it. Roy and Silo, two male chinstrap penguins in the Central Park Zoo, are dating and raised a chick together. Same-sex penguin pairs are very common in captivity and in the wild.
Oh, so we did that.
They form bonds, build nests, and even adopt eggs or chickens. Yeah, penguins have same-sex relationships, build a house together, and they adopt babies and they raise babies. Gay penguins.
Wait, so in the zoo, this happens in a zoo?
No. Captivity and in the wild. It's been observed.
We have an example of it in the wild.
Dolphins do it with men. Dolphins do it with men. Well, they don't have names in the wild, but it is documented. Let's see. Rams, 8%. Dude, 8%. 8% of rams. 8% of rams mate with other males, even when females are available. 8% of rams are gay. That's crazy. Lions are gay.
So is having the company of males the same as being gay? Or are they actually engaging in homosexual
buddy, if you have the company of a male, I will not call you gay. You should have fun in your own privacy. I support you.
Okay. I'm not.
Oh, that's why Trump tariffed the penguins. That's why Trump tariffed the penguins, because they're gay.
Because
penguins.
They're gay?
That's why he tariffed them. Oh, I just put it together. Jeez.
Dude, I'm tired of those freeloading penguins personally.
All the gay penguins are being tariffed. Yeah.
Are you sure it's the gay penguins?
That's hard to say. I think he just said all penguins are bad. You know, some he assumes are decent penguins, but yeah.
I don't know why we're stopping with the penguins. We have polar bears down south.
Polar bears are vicious, man.
We need to be tariffing them as well.
We got to
maybe if we send some USAID money down there, we can encourage the polar bears to live in polite society.
No, actually, I heard that China actually made deals with all the polar bears because we pulled out, so it's really upsetting. The polar bears are on China's side now, so watch out.
Oh, so now we don't just have to worry about polar bears, but commie polar bears.
Yeah. Well, Trump's a communist, to be honest.
Oh my gosh, I would like to hear that argument.
Trump right now is doing the most centrally planned economic policy in American history. Unilaterally by the president, we've never seen one man dictate this kind of stuff.
I'm not aware of communists or any like authoritarian party like that trying to make the government smaller.
Oh, they actually all do that, by the way, because they want to make it smaller because it's easier to control it with like less people or like one person if they make the government smaller. So like Hitler was against bureaucracy, Mussolini was against bureaucracy, Mao was. Mao told everyone that was in colleges to go work in the mines. Yeah, they all make government smaller because if they make it smaller but maintain the power, they still have the military, they still have all the power, they still have the feds and the police. Less people in government means less power.
Control with a small government.
Delegated. No, it's not. He's not making the government smaller. He is making sure the government stays the same side, but he's firing people from the government, so there's more power in the hands of a few people.
Also, So also, in regards to the USAID, it's my understanding that the budget hasn't actually been cut. The budget for USAID is still fully intact.
They said they cut 80% of programs, though. No, so the official post Marco Rubio said
we cut spending.
No, but he said 82% of programs are shut down, and 18% of programs are going to be rolled into the State Department. That's what Marco Rubio said, and Doge said.
But the budget still exists, so we could reallocate that spending still right now to this day, because it's been congressionally allocated. Correct?
Well, maybe. I mean, Ivanka Trump, Trump's daughter, got like $100 million in USAID funding for her women's initiative globally his first term, so maybe she'll get another paycheck.
I can only hope.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's okay if Trump's kids are corrupt. It's only. I mean, yeah, we never talk about Trump's corruption, but it's okay. It's okay if he does it. He's not a politician, so.
Yeah. I actually don't know a lot about his kids' corruption. Would you care to tell me about it?
Yeah, Jared Kushner Jared Kushner got $2 billion from Saudi Arabia from private equity after Trump dined with them. Trump is such a good guy. He's really
That's very
guy.
generous of him.
Yeah, I'm proud of him. I hope when I grow up someday I could be like him. But yeah, do you want to end on a topic at all? You want to talk about I don't know.
Well, you picked the next one. I picked Doge. I picked well, actually, you picked Tariff, then I picked Doge. So I guess it's your go again.
If someone's watching this, if you guys are watching this stream, I'm gonna restart the YouTube Shorts stream one more time. If you're watching, so go to the other stream for a second. I'll put up another YouTube Shorts if anyone's watching. Whoever's watching, about to restart this one again. So yeah, I'll be right back on here.
Is the YouTube Shorts stream different from the mainstream?
Yeah, there's two of them because the YouTube Shorts can potentially get more people watching it, but I usually have like 100 or 200 or 300 on YouTube.